Almost exactly 3 years ago, I produced a video called Vawa, the Golden Age. And it featured a small story about an area here in Montreal called Vawa, which is now part of Pointe Claire, and its Golden Age era, which spanned from the 1850s until just after the Second World War started. I think what's forgotten about the Golden Age is that it was huge. It wasn't just cottage country, which a lot of people call it today. It was a resort town. It was one of the biggest resort towns in the Montreal area. This era of Vawa fascinated me, and I felt that it wasn't given the right kudos, I guess, historical kudos in Vawa's history. So I created a video, and at the end of the video, in the conclusion, I tried to link the Golden Age era with what exists today, which is suburbia, and that no one would be living there really, or it wouldn't have developed as quickly hadn't it been for this era just before. So let's just run that conclusion that I did 3 years ago. Let's just run that now so you can kind of understand what I'm talking about. Even though today there's no real remnants of the Golden Age, the effect the Golden Age had on Vawa and the West Island very much exists today. If there'd been no Golden Age, there would have been no population growth above the tracks, which means there would have been no purpose to build churches or schools, which means that the growth wouldn't have extended westward and eastward to build shopping centers and malls and indoor pools and more schools and libraries and city halls, essentially what the West Island is today. So all of this is because the Golden Age brought people into the West Island to see the beauty and potential that it would hold for the future. So those who were able to experience the Golden Age, I think, were probably the first ones to choose to come and settle in Vawa. And that, again, was the point that I was trying to make. And this is exactly the example that I'm going to show you in this video. Not so much the gentleman who chose to move to Vawa, because he would be well over 100 by now, but it's his son. Now, his son speaks on behalf of his father, and his father in the 20s did come out here and did experience a part of that Golden Age. And so Bill Gordon explains how his father chose Vawa.
My father was born in 1900, and he came here right after the last war, 1914-18. So he came here in the 20s.
From?
1920, from Aberdeen, Scotland. And he met my mother here. She was from Glasgow. He was a paddler. There was a Vawa boating club.
Yeah.
That's how he came to, he stayed at Milroy Avenue.
Yeah.
At Brome's, yeah.
Brome's.
Yeah, it was a rooming house, so he stayed there.
So your father comes out and he's paddling, and then he decides
he's going to live here.
Now, Bill Gordon was someone who was suggested to me to call because of his age. And because of his age, he can remember an era that goes way back in Vawa's history, as he grew up in Vawa. I mean, his memory is fantastic, so he can speak on behalf of the tail end of that Golden Age. And then, of course, he did see the kind of, I guess, more urban development of Vawa as a suburb. And it's just fascinating what he has to say.
It was a close-knit community, well respected by everybody. Now, outside of Vawa, I don't know, but inside Vawa, you know, it was a respectable place to live a good life. Yeah, the way everybody should live. Food on the table, good job. Later years, we all had cars.
So Bill became an incredibly valuable asset to this whole series, the Endangered Stories series. So I had at least 4 phone calls with Bill before I finally had the chance to drive up to his place and have a 2-hour-long chat with him. But this is not what I'm going to show you. What I'm going to show you is just Bill's memory of that tail end of the Golden Age. So sit back and enjoy Bill. So who would this rooming house, because of where it was located for people who were coming in temporarily to just, and they didn't want to rent a...
It was like coming here and renting an apartment.
So
for
someone modest like your dad couldn't afford the Chateau St. Louis?
Oh, no way. No, he came here with nothing. My friend, Don Gauguin, his father bought Brome's, and it was called the Blue Moon. And that was the hangout for us in my day.
What was the Blue Moon?
It was Brome's restaurant.
But did they get rid of the?
Because he had 4 sisters.
The boarding.
Yeah,
The board.
they needed it. They needed the whole place for themselves. Yeah, there was no boarding.
So they closed the boarding bit, but they
kept the restaurant.
Kept the restaurant, the Blue Moon.
Well, had slot machines, 5 cents.
So it was a resto bar.
Yeah. Well, it was not a bar. No, it was for kids. It was hot dogs and
good for the kids.
Yeah, Donnie being making the French fries and yeah.
It just sounds amazing. So at this time, when you were a kid, let's say 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
You were going down there and on the corner.
We'd swim right in front of there. Was a beautiful beach.
On the corner of.
I think I have a picture of the beach.
On the corner of Milroy and Lakeshore.
Yeah.
You had either Blue Moon or Brome's, depending on the year.
Yeah.
And then you had McCoy's on the other side.
Yeah. You see, that was all sand a little further over. And right in front was McCoy's and the Blue Moon or Brome's. That was the Lakeshore. That was it.
So
people lived on Kings, Prince Edward, and Broadview, and they congregated there.
Milroy and the Lakeshore
was.
Would you consider that as the central
downtown?
Yeah.
If there was.
And we thought we'd give you a call and just jog your memory as much of what's left in there about the country club.
It's as clear in my mind as when I was 10 years old. It was the meeting place, there's no question. I used to have babysitters take me there, and stay with me the day. From the road to the building, it would be the length of 2 football fields out into the water. My generation would just be that it was on Friday night there would be a movie. Otherwise, nothing else going on in there. It was the end of the era.
So this is probably up until the country club burnt down. When it burnt down, did it continue a little?
No, it was never the same. It became more Edgewater and Maples. People came out to those places, yeah.
What was the Edgewater like compared to the
Tuxedo.
other places at the time?
That was high end.
Yeah.
The Maples never was high end. There was the beer garden next to it, and it had a beautiful beach. I remember swimming at the Maples, and it had lockers and a sandy beach.
So, but why is it that we have beautiful stories from the early 1900s?
Well, because there wasn't
40s?
that much sewage.
You see, they used to put the sewerage, where the kids have their rowing club on the Lakeshore Road? Well, that was the pump house that used to pump raw sewerage out into the lake. So we stopped swimming in the lake. And so we didn't relate to the water the same.
So you remember a time when no one batted an eye at swimming in the lake versus it became, as maybe a generation younger than you started calling it Pooey Louie.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what they called it. Not in my day.
So is this just a matter of
as it grew,
suburban growth?
Yeah, it killed the lake. You could throw it off the country club. You could throw a dime and see it at the bottom, 20 feet down. Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, what people don't understand is when the seaway came in, they raised the water and covered all the beaches.
How high did the water rise when the seaway came in?
6 feet.
No.
Oh yeah, covered everything.
So if you enjoyed this interview, I encourage you to go to my YouTube channel, Jason Bolanis, or you can search Endangered Stories and watch the full interview that I had with Bill Gordon, where he talked about many, many more incredibly interesting little historical quips about his time growing up in Valois and Point Claire. Enjoy your weekend.